And we are back again. It's your friendly neighborhood film watcher. It's friendly, frankly football. And your humble host Brandon, rolling solo dolo tonight. And there's draft things going on. The NFL draft is tonight. Starts in 3 minutes. So come in. The couch is over there. Before you sit down, go ahead and get yourself something to drink. Pour yourself a finest cup of the nine. And tonight, I'm gonna sit here and give my live reactions on the NFL draft, some evaluations of these prospects, so that way we being fans of the league, not just Cowboy centric things, because draft time is league centric, not necessarily team centric. But any fan of any team can really grasp an idea of what I think of a lot of these prospects. Now, I didn't get to scout as many prospects as I really want to this year. I think I only watched 100 and I watched 102 prospects, which is I can usually get down 50 more guys in a year, So once you get to about the end of the third round, I'll kind of be shooting from the hip. But until then, I think it's going to be great for us to watch as the draft starts in about 2 minutes. And really just get into this thing together. Let me go ahead and shoot this thing off to the Twitter. All right, let's see here. All right, boom, share this to the Twitter. And if you don't already, go ahead and follow us on Twitter. The ad is in the description. And there we go. So I think it's pretty obvious, how the first few picks are gonna go, right? Well, unless there's trades happening. The Titans are all but assured to draft Cam Ward. It would be hard to hold off the vitriol of your fans if you choose to go into another year with Will Levis. I'm sure that he can improve, but hey, right now, you wouldn't be able to instill much confidence if you go that route. But I think it kind of gives me an opportunity to give my opinion on Ward in advance, right? He didn't really start off as a highly touted guy, which is cool. I love a success story. Cam Ward, I think, is a top tier athlete. He's going to be the guy that can throw the ball 80 yards down the field. Also has, let's see, what's the best way to describe it? The good athleticism. He's a guy that can beat you with his legs. But I think he's going to be a guy that, even though he's coming into a situation to start right away, his arm isn't going to be top tier, and that's going to be something that's needed to develop, right? He throws with like this weird sidearm motion, which I'm not the hugest fan of, but hey, if you can get the job done, then great. It's going to be interesting to see him being a quarterback that needs to develop, but is thrust immediately into a starting role. But I also think he throws with confidence. I don't think that he's unsure of where he's throwing the ball to. Whether it's deep in tight windows, over the middle of the field, whatever. I think that he throws with like a great level of confidence. All right, and the Titans are on the clock. Let's see what we got going on here. So this is while I'm waiting for that pick to come in, the inevitable Cam Ward pick, unless there's a trade. I am usually the type of person that chooses to live and die by their board. If there's the best player available, personally, I would pick that player unless it's just a position where you can't get any better at, right? It would be like Philly picking a wide receiver, even though they got two top tier receivers who are making top tier money. So with that in mind, it's interesting to see a team take a guy purely out of need and skipping a multitude of rankings, because I highly doubt that Cam Ward is the best player on their board. I think he's just a player that they just happen to have the best need for. So that's really interesting. And sometimes you end up shooting yourself in the foot by doing that. And with that in mind, I'm not sure that I would go that same route. If I were a GM of a team, I'm not sure that I would skip over the best player just to satisfy the best need. But I mean, at the same time, it could be that guy's job on the line if he does that. The Titans haven't been great for a little bit, so I'm sure that their GM, whatever his name is, I don't know if it off the top of my head. I'm sure that their GM is somebody who might be drafting for his job and going into that year, delegating duties and then filling that roster out for his job, right? They got Roger Goodell coming in here on a bike, man, like he Debo. And he is getting booed as usual, That's interesting. Man, he brought out a whole crew of people on beach cruises. That's wild. The Lil Wayne, yeah, that is Lil Wayne. Shout out to GOAT. If you happen to come up on that era of that 10-year run that Wayne went on, Mixtape Wayne, he was blessed in the time of music, right? So the Titans are officially on the clock. See, it's interesting because I think Roger Goodell kind of embraces being booed at this point. Which, I mean, I guess if you don't die a hero, become the villain, right? So I wonder, is Tennessee going to be one of those teams that takes a long time to turn in that pick, even though they kind of know who they're going to take, right? That's just annoying to me. Okay, and shoot, I got plenty of dead at the field, right? Why not go ahead and get this draft order up? Then we can talk about not only how I think things are gonna go, but also, who gonna be up next, who gonna be on the mound, right? All right, how about I do this? Let's drop this window in right here. Kind of split that thing up. There we go. Can I move this? No, I can't. But that's cool. Get that pop up out of the way. All right, so boom. You got Tennessee, who's probably going to pick their quarterback. And see, this is really interesting. I've been seeing reports that Cleveland and the Giants are fielding calls for trades at their position. Why would you give up the best and second best player in the draft when you definitely have a need for it, right? Why would you do that? That's really interesting to me. I don't know. Me personally, I wouldn't go that route, but cool, I guess. Yeah, see the card would have already been up there in that case. If that were me, I feel like you're just wasting time. Just if you already know who you're gonna pick, I'm pretty sure that the whole world knows that the Titans are picking Cam Ward. So I don't know. I don't know. And Ward is a good quarterback, man. Ward is a good quarterback. I don't feel like he necessarily is going to be the type to give the league fits 7 to 10 years from now. I'm not sure if he's that guy. To be frank, I'm not sure if there is a quarterback like that in this class. But I think that he can bring electricity to the Titans locker room. I mean, we don't see him picking up the phone yet, which is interesting. I just think that, let's see here. Let me check out some of the guys, man. Let me shout out my guy, DMV, right quick. So yeah, that's what. Now, here's something else that I'm really interested about. They're making a call. Are they finally getting on the phone with Cam or okay? So they passing their phone all around. That means they not making a trade or anything. They rocking with the pick, and ain't nothing wrong with that. And I actually like that comp for Cam Ward. Steve McNair is a really good comp. He's an elusive guy. Big strong body. Pause. Um, and he got him. He got a cannon for an arm, man. But sometimes I feel like his accuracy is very erratic, man. His accuracy is very erratic. It could be right on the point, or it could be 5 yards in any direction of the guy. So it's interesting. Mm. So the Giants offer next year's one in order to move up to the first overall pick. That's really interesting, man. That's really interesting. That means that the Giants must love Cam Ward. Um, and once again, that's one of those situations where it's really interesting to see how much people like the quarterbacks in this class, even though the perception of it is that it's a weaker class. So yeah, man, it's just one of those things. Guys who have their coaching life on the line, like the Giants, like the Titans, shoot, even like the Browns, they want to get some spark, man. They want to get some spark. But in my mind, I would have thought that the Kenny Pickett. There we go, man. I can't speak. I would have thought that the Pickett year would have made teams a little bit more wary of trying to go in on these drafts where the quarterback class isn't as exemplary. There we go. That's the TI word of the day. But the pick is in. Mm-hmm. Cam Ward is the pick. There we go. It was all but guaranteed at this point. Um, so yeah, like I said before, I believe that Cam is, a very powerful thrower of the ball. Has a sturdy frame about him, to where he can evade those tacklers and things. Um, I just think that's something that he has to hope to improve that throwing motion. Get away from that sidearm throw, and then improve his accuracy. So I hope that the Titans GM, Mike Borgonzi is his name, or if that's how you pronounce it. That name got me in a chokehold. I guess that turned me everywhere loose. Um, but yeah, hopefully him and that coaching staff um, in Nashville can improve things for Cam. And can help him develop while he is, going to be the incumbent starter. I do think that he goes through his progressions pretty well. But he can throw 80 yards, and he knows he can throw 80 yards. So it's like when he goes through his reads, he's gonna look to that biggest play, that deepest throw, because he knows he can get the ball to where it needs to be. And maybe because he had that throwing power for so long, he didn't focus on his accuracy. I don't know. But Treylon Burks is a big dude. You know, put it within that wingspan. He'll be able to catch it. Very interesting, man. It's very interesting. Let's get that ad out of there. I need to download ad block. Oh, the Jaguars have traded up to the 2nd overall pick. That is interesting, man. That is interesting. They gave up pick swap. They gave up a 4th and a 6th. Well, excuse me. They gave up a 2nd and a 4th. They received a 4th and a 6th. And then they gave up the 1st round pick next year. That is interesting, man. So really it depends on who they like better, Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter. I could definitely see them going with Travis Hunter. Now, where they'll play him, I don't know. I think he can come in and contribute immediately on both sides of the ball for them. Man, that's a big one. That's a big one. Man, Lil Wayne making his rounds around that green room. But they did get rid of Christian Kirk. So, losing a target, I could definitely see them playing Travis Hunter on offense. I could definitely see it. But, until the pick comes in, we don't know who they'll take. All right, they dapping each other up, so the pick got to be in. They done already made that call. But I think in a lot of ways that was really necessary for the Browns. They're a team that has a ton of holes. They already regret the quarterback trade that they got for Deshaun Watson. The owner came out and said that wasn't the most fortunate thing for them. So they're going to be a team that needs 2 first-round picks, a whole gang of other picks, because besides Myles Garrett, they kind of need help everywhere. So I get it. Get 2 players further down the road rather than get 1 gangster now. It's cool, man. I'm all right with it. But yeah, man, this is gonna be an interesting one for Jacksonville as well. Trevor Lawrence didn't have the greatest year last year when he was healthy. He only won like 2 games as the starter. So yeah. he already got his money, so he's going to be scrutinized more than ever, especially if he can't win after they get a dog on either side of the ball. Depending on where they decide to play Hunter or if they take Carter, but doubt that, honestly. But yeah, man, this is going to be a I'm not gonna say make or break year for Sunshine, but it's definitely gonna be an important year for him because the league moves fast. You don't want it to pass you by. The pick is in, so let's tap in and see what this is. Mm. Shout out Eric Armstead. Can't go wrong, bringing a man of the year on stage. Okay, now they finally getting around to announcing the pick. Travis Hunter's the pick. And they announced him as a wide receiver. Okay. So Christian Kirk is no longer there. He was traded off this offseason, right? And now Travis Hunter's going to come in. It's interesting, right? Travis Hunter was the best receiver in the draft, but he was also the best cornerback in this draft. So anywhere he would have came in, he would have been able to make an impact. I think that do they still have Calvin Ridley? Let's see. Okay, no, they don't. They got Brian Thomas Jr. Going into his second year. Denami Brown came from USC. He also played in Washington. Travis Hunter comes in. He is the best or the second best receiver on that depth chart right now, right? Brian Thomas Jr. was a dog last year. I think he had the most yards out of any rookie. So Travis is definitely at least going to be the second best receiver on that roster. But yeah, man, needed upgrade. Absolutely necessary upgrade. I'm not mad at it at all. Not mad at that at all. And I'm sure that there are going to be situations where he comes in and plays on the opposite side of the ball as well. And if that happens, he might mess around and be the best DB as well. Because who do they got on that side of the ball? Tyson Campbell, and who else? Yeah, man. Yeah. Looking up this Jaguars roster. Definitely a needed upgrade. Before all of this, we see all of the talk about them potentially trading Travis Etienne. Waiting and taking a running back, man, you're getting a less important position, a less premier position, and one that's deeper this year. So you can wait for that. You can wait for that. They're gonna have to wait till the third round. But yeah, man. Yeah. Mm. See, so that's really interesting. Jags didn't Jags didn't speak with Trav except for at the combine. So this was truly uh impulse move. mm. I'm pretty sure that the next pick, well, unless the Giants trade, I'm pretty sure that unless the Giants make a trade, they going with Abdul Carter, which is gonna be dope, because the Giants already got a great offensive line. The Giants already got a great offensive line. They got Thibodeau, they got Dexter Lawrence, they got dudes across that end. They got dudes in the trenches, man. So it is really interesting, man. Hmm. Got to take the time to watch all of the other Cowboys creators. Shout out to all my guys. Shout out to all of my guys. See, so the Giants dapping each other up, giving each other hugs and whatnot. So the pick is in. They're not making a trade. It looks like. So it's gonna be one of those situations. Man, they gonna have a wall on that defensive line, man. They're gonna have a wall on that defensive line. So, man, Abdul Carter, Penn State, uh, edge rusher, absolute dog, absolute dog. I'm pretty sure that the Giants brass they love the pick. Um, and the thing about Abdul Carter is it's kind of hard not to like compare him to Micah Parsons in his years at Penn State. He's explosive in his movements. He can bend all of that pause. And not just like in this draft, which is one thing that you'll hear a lot of people say. He would not just be an elite player in this draft. Abdul Carter would be considered an elite player in any year that you go back and place him in, right? I think that he possesses amazing speed and power, to go along with top tier NFL size. Pause. Um, he can disengage from blocks very very well, shed those really well. Um, and he can terrorize a quarterback. Abdul Carter is a terror to the quarterback. So I think that as he continues to add more tricks to his repertoire of pass rush skills, he'll be great. And it's interesting as well. Lad 2024 was his first year as a full-time pass rusher at that. I didn't even learn that until like 2 weeks ago. So he could really succeed in the 4-3 scheme if he was schemed correctly. One of the things that you saw Abdul Carter talk about is how he would handle being in a team that's like a rival to the Eagles, because that's what he grew up liking. And he said, if he's in New York, it's New York now. Philly got to take a seat. And I think that was the totally right thing to say. That was definitely the right thing to say, so that the fan base doesn't sense any disloyalty from him. I really think Abdul Carter's gonna come into this league and terrorize guys, man. All pro potential, all around, all pro potential. The Giants, in my opinion, got debatably the best player in this draft at the 3rd pick, and didn't have to do anything for it. They just had to sit there and wait for it to drop to them. So I thought there was no other decision to make, right? You might have had people, some pundits and whatnot, talk about, oh, should they take the quarterback with the 3rd pick? That would have been foolish. That would have been foolish. I can tell you that right now. All leather shirt is crazy. Carter benefits greatly from having dogs beside him. Dexter Lawrence was already a threat. Kayvon Thibodeaux was already a threat. They're gonna make his job easy so that he doesn't have to feel the weight of the world on his shoulders. I dig it, man. I dig it. Make your strength stronger. The NFC East quarterbacks, they're gonna be in trouble, man. Especially the less mobile ones. So the Patriots are on the clock. It's kind of hard, and let me see. Hold on, before I even get into that, Sam came in and said the Browns are loaded now, way to capitalize off the worst signing ever. Yeah, man. I was talking about it earlier. That Watson trade and contract, it really put them in the hole that they got to dig out of, man. Really put them in the hole. And when you are that bad, you just need picks. You just need picks. So until we see those come to fruition, they just kind of got to hold their head and let that Watson contract kind of play out. Arch Manning gonna come out eventually. The Browns are gonna continue to be the Browns. Bad. So yeah, maybe when that happens, they can hopefully turn things around for their franchise. But until then, man, get your rookies. Get your rookies and hopefully find some dogs. Hopefully, find some dogs. The Patriots are up next. This is where I believe that Will Campbell's going to come off the board or whatever lineman they like. I'm a Josh Simmons fan, but injury concerns and all of that noise. But the Patriots got a new quarterback. Second-year quarterback, right? And you want that guy to stay on his feet. Their offensive line was dog water, made out of cardboard cutouts. So yeah, of course they also need receivers too. They need to get Drake May weapons. But yeah, man, first and foremost, they got to get him some guys that can help him stay on his feet. So I believe that this will be an offensive line pick unless they're just like, screw it, offensive linemen don't score points, And O-line ain't always the sexy pick, but it's necessary, right? It's absolutely necessary. All right, so the pick is in. Let's see who it's going to be. And I'm sure that I'm behind live TV, Oh, wow. So, yeah, from where I'm at, the Browns have already turned in their card. But Goodell's about to announce the pick. Let me see what they're going to do. Will Campbell, LSU tackle. Not mad at it at all, man. Drake May has to stay on his feet. It really wasn't many other ways that it could go. Will Campbell's a big guy. You kind of got his thing that was blown out of concern with his arm length. But he been working with that his whole life. So I'm confident that he can come in and be great. I think that he's a very fundamental offensive lineman. Comes in, he's going to be one of those guys, one of those first in, last out type of guys. Very high football IQ. Very tough, very competitive. I don't put as much stock into the whole short arm debacle. I think that he can come in and start on each side, tackle and guard. So if they feel that his arm length is too short for tackle, guess what? They need a guard as well. They need two guards as well. So he can come in and be a dog. And really, if he wanted to learn how to snap and play center, I wouldn't be upset at that as well. Okay. Yeah, I think that Will Campbell's a great player. Has great foot speed. Can be quick with his movements. Very patient, so he's not going to be the type to lunge in on pass pro. Yeah, man. Yeah, I like him. I like him. And that's ultimately going to be the best pick for Drake May. They'll have to get a receiver, at some point in day 2, a running back at some point in day 2, I guess. But offensive line is 40+% of your offense. Absolutely necessary. cool when a guy gets emotional, man. Gets to see his dream come true. And Will Campbell is one of those guys, and this was one of those things that was talked about a lot this year. Will Campbell is a guy that you don't have to question his love for football. He'll go out there and fight tooth and nail for you, because I think that he's one of those guys where the game is his life, and those are going to be the guys who work the hardest for you. Just to kind of talk about the Cowboys for 1 second. The Cowboys are a team that struggled with that, with probably their last 2 first-round picks. That love for football. So, more and more teams are picking up on it. Especially your early picks. Especially your early picks have to love the game. They have to love football. And Will Campbell is a guy that you're not going to have to worry about that at all. All right, so the Browns pick is in. This is where things start to get interesting. After that Patriots pick, where we kind of knew who those first 4 guys were going to be, right? We knew who those first 4 picks were going to be. Now things kind of get mixed up a little bit. Now things get mixed up to where we don't really know who's going to be picked. Because now the board isn't as clear. I don't see the Browns as being a team that might draft Ashton Jeanty. So even though he might be the best player left on the board, on my board anyway, would he come off here? Would they mess around and draft like Walter Nolan out of Ole Miss? This could be a variety of things. Could they take Mason Graham out of Michigan? But let's see. Mason Graham. Yeah. Yeah, I like the pick. Get somebody next to Myles Garrett. Get somebody to make your strength stronger. Because the Browns are gonna be a team that kind of got to get it the hard way. Like I mentioned before. So Mason Graham is another one of those guys where there was a whole outcry about his arm length and stuff like that. He a dog, man. He a dog. He's fast. He's powerful. Which when he engages, it has all the look. It passes that eye test. It looks violent. It looks what's another adjective? Relentless. There we go. Another adjective right there. So he can then help with that run style. I think that he's a very high floor player. Will Mason Graham be your 3 tech or your 1 tech? For Cleveland, I could definitely see them just put him in B gap, telling them have fun, have a blast. But then he can come in and be a great 1 or 3. Like I don't think that he really has to be tied to one assignment. I think that he's probably a guy that's played everywhere along the defensive line. And the good thing about Mason Graham is, not only is he, great at football, he has that wrestling background as well. 2-time state champ. So I can tell that he, based on that, probably very good with contorting his body to disengage. Very good with hand placement, things like that, using momentum and leverage to win those matchups. Like it. I like it. I like the pick. I don't think there haven't been any unexpected prospects to come off of the board. I'm not sure that anybody could predict it in this order. But yeah, all prospects who you expect to come off the board in the top 10. All prospects you would expect to come off the board in the top 10. I mean, who could have possibly predicted that things would come out this way? Who could have possibly predicted that these would have been the first 5 players to come off the board? I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure who could have predicted this. You know, that these first 5 players will come off in this order. Maybe not in these order of teams, but I'm not sure who could have ever predicted this in their one and only, their 1 point only draft, that these would be the first 5 players off the board in order. I don't know. I don't know. Just give me my flowers while I'm here, man. I just want my flowers while I'm here. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and drop that on a tweet right quick. All right, let's see what the Raiders are doing. Is it going to be Ashton Jeanty? Yep, it is Ashton Jeanty to the Raiders. Not upset at that at all, man. Their running back room is a little shaky. Well, was a little shaky. And it's something that had to be improved. Definitely had to be improved. So yeah, I'm not upset at the Ashton Jeanty pick. I think he comes in and he's immediately the Raiders' number 1 running back. Because who did they have? Zach Moss and somebody else? I'm not quite sure. But yeah, man, Ashton Jeanty. I talked about this last night. When I went live last night. He's not going to be your tallest guy, but he's built very solid. He's built very solid. The thing that Ashton Jeanty did well, man, he will make a guy regret trying to engage with him. There are going to be guys that are more versatile, but they're not better. You know, Ashton Jeanty has decided to master that one thing. You know, he's going to bring in great balance, great footwork. Great vision. He's going to be explosive, from the snap of the ball. First round prospect by any definition of the word, man. And the reason that he had to really showcase those skills is because his line at Boise was dog water, man. It was awful. So it was just one of those things, man. He was able to succeed in a bad situation. So if you get him even a decent line, man, imagine what he would do. I think that he has great long speed, willing blocker. There will be better, but he's a very willing blocker. Not gonna get beat up, even though he 5'8" or something. Man, but in his ability to force guys to miss. His ability to force guys to miss is something to be admired. A different version of Jahmyr Gibbs. Yeah, see, in my opinion, Jahmyr Gibbs is the top 5 running back in the league. So I'm not upset at you saying that Jeanty's nowhere near Gibbs. I'm not upset about that at all. In my opinion, Jahmyr Gibbs is a top 5 running back in the league. So I am not upset at that at all. Yo, is she taller than him? That's crazy. Man, I gave him 5'8", but he might be shorter than that. But one thing I can say is with all of the top prospects, man, they clean off of the field. You got a few prospects this year who have had off the field issues, and to get a guy who you don't have to worry about, man, that's a blessing. That's a blessing. The Jets pick is in. Let's see who they gonna pick. Let's see who the Jets are gonna pick. So, obviously I'm not playing the broadcast of the draft on here, just so I don't get another copyright strike. Thanks, Michigan. But why did they have to play a commercial where Dak fumbled a screw on a Lowe's commercial? So who's picking next? It's the Jets, right? And their pick is in. We just got to wait for it to get announced. Yeah, I've been right on every player taken so far. Maybe not the teams because of that trade situation, but if I'm predicting correctly, who I predicted would go to the Jets at 1-7. I said it would be Armand Membu. The Jets could be a team that will mess around and take Tyler Warren as well. Just because they have a need at tight end, but you got to worry about priority positions, right? And I feel like the offensive line is a more important position group than tight ends, right? Don't get me wrong, Tyler Warren's a great tight end. My tight end won without surprise. But if you want to mess around and get your young quarterback that you just signed some help, then you would try to keep him on his feet, right? So let's see. Once again, I know I'm probably behind. Hey, man. I've been right with everyone so far. Armand Membu is a New York Jet. I've been right so far, man. I've been right so far. I know a thing or two about these draft things, man. I know a thing or two, man. I love the pick. I love the pick. I think that Armand Membu is a great player. Um, you gotta help. Whichever one of those guys is going to be your quarterback, whether it is Tyrod Taylor, Justin Fields, Jordan Travis. Huge fan of Jordan Travis. That's no secret. Um, and the first thing to do is to keep them on their feet. I'm a huge O line guy. I think that you have to build your offensive line to give your team a solid foundation. It's like building a house. You don't build a house starting with the roof. You build a house starting with the foundation. I think that given that Membu is a player who not only played football and wrestled, but he was a guy who was quick on his feet. He played tennis. He played tennis. So that's a thing that allowed him to be a little spry. Um, has a high ceiling. I don't think his body is finished growing. I don't think he got his grown man body yet, which is crazy because he's 6'3", 314. But yeah, man, I think it's a great pick. I will always cape for O lineman. I think that his hips are great. Hips are flexible. Comes from that wrestling background. I think that wrestling is important to give guys, understanding of how to use leverage and power in conjunction with each other. His stance is amazing. Let's compare this to Will Campbell, right? Will Campbell's one of his issues was he was too high in his stance. Membu knows how to get low and explode from the snap. He knows how to explode from his stance. I think that he's good on his feet. That probably comes from that tennis background. Hey, there is a secret to it somewhere. I think that he could be a puller, a very capable puller. Yeah, man, I'm a big fan of it. I think that he has a lot of nuances of the game down. You just gotta teach him to finish. Teach him to finish a little bit more. Teach him how to use that frame, to anchor down. I love the pick. I think that he possesses all of the nuances of the game. Yeah, man. I've been right on 1 through 7 so far. That feels great. So, like I said, I only do one. I only do one of these things. And I predicted that the Panthers would want to get their young quarterback who started showing some promise at the end of last year. I predicted that they would want to get him some help and would take Tetairoa McMillan, wide receiver, Arizona, here. Yeah, man. I think that you got to get Bryce Young. You know, another dynamic weapon. You got to get Bryce Young another dynamic weapon. Don't get me wrong, Xavier Legette, very talented. But imagine how great Bryce Young would have been with DJ Moore. You know, imagine how great Bryce Young would have been with DJ Moore. And if you get him a receiver who is going to be, you know, not just a big body guy, because you know the stigma behind super big receivers is that, oh, they don't know how to use their body, they don't know how to contort themselves well. Man, T Mac is great, man. T Mac is great at using his frame fully. Let's see. 8 for 8, baby. 8 for 8. 8 for 8. Get Bryce Young a weapon. Get Bryce Young a weapon, man. Tetairoa McMillan, you know, not counting Travis Hunter because, you know, that kind of thing. Tetairoa McMillan is a very, very good receiver. You know, gave Travis Hunter fits in 2023. Yeah, man. 6'5", 200 plus pounds. So that allows Bryce Young to be able to have the leniency of less accuracy because Tech got a frame, man. Tech got a frame. He can go out there and just, you can go out there and have the comfortability that he'll be able to save him. Yeah. Yeah, man. Feels pretty good to be right on so far. So I'll take that win. Go me. Yeah, my group chats are going crazy right now a little bit. Yeah, man. I think that if you mess around and give T-Mac a situation where it's a 50-50 ball, you can't teach height. You can't teach height. You can't teach arm length. So yeah, man. Bryce Young should feel happy for this. Bryce Young should feel happy for this. He can have that freedom to just to air that thing out, man. And is Xavier, how big is Xavier Legette? Pause. He's a 6'3" guy too. The Panthers got some size, man. The Panthers got size. The Panthers have size, man. The Panthers got a dog, man. The Panthers got a dog. All right, so let's see. The Saints are in. Their pick is in. Do they pick a quarterback here? Does Jackson Dart or Shedeur Sanders come off of the board here? We'll see. We'll see. Because Derek Carr still had that health issue. I predicted that it would be Jalen Walker here. Can't go wrong with choosing the best player available. He's listed as a linebacker, but he's really an edge rusher. But Kellen Moore's their offensive coordinator, so they might have wanted to give him the opportunity to come in with a dog, man, and rock out with Shedeur. They might have wanted to. So this is going to be an interesting one. The Saints don't really got like a bona fide dude at quarterback. I mean, the shine has come off of Derek Carr a while ago. So, yeah. All right, let's see. I'm not mad about Kelvin Banks. I'm not mad about it. Very good offensive lineman. Very good offensive lineman. I'm not mad at that at all, man. They got a dog from Texas. I think that Kelvin Banks is going to be a dude that can come in. There's been a lot of offensive linemen this year who can play tackle or guard, you know. And I think Kelvin Banks really only struggled, you know, against top tier guys. He's been great everywhere. He's been great against all sorts of competition. I think that he is going to be, you know, an amazing left tackle. I'm not sure what his snaps were, you know, whether he played anywhere else. But man, he's a dog. He is a dog. Another arm length guy, I guess, but I don't really subscribe to that. You know, I think that he has the balance, you know, in the foot speed to really keep up with almost any competition. Did Walker, was he the only guy that really gave him trouble? You know, for somebody who's 320 plus pounds, I think that he carries his weight, you know, very, very, very quickly. Very quickly. So the Bears are on the clock now. Do they choose to get Caleb Williams, you know, another weapon, you know, whether it is Tyler Warren or someone like that? Or do they choose to bolster their line, which they've done that enough already, right? Or do they choose to work on the defensive side of the ball? Jalen Walker is still there. Mike Green's still there. Mm. Okay, so this isn't an announcement of the pick just yet. I had a good streak going. What, eight of 9? So I'm not mad at it. But the one thing that I can say is there haven't really been any surprise picks just yet. There haven't really been any surprise picks. May 14th is when the schedule comes out. Okay, great. We got 3 weeks. We got 3 weeks until that schedule drop. That's dope. This is gonna be funny. You know, they're in Green Bay. Bears on the clock. Another behavior right there. I love it. So you got Caleb Williams, who is, or yeah, I'll say still is a highly touted quarterback, right? His rookie year could have been better, but sure. How do you help him? What do the Bears front office, and the only reason that I know that GM's name is because I talked about him before. What does Ryan Poles do to help him? Do you take the tight end just to help your young prolific quarterback succeed as much as possible, or do you say we got a whole team to build and focus on that defense? What do you do? What do they do? Let's see. What do they do? All right, let's see. What are they doing? Wow. Colston Loveland above Tyler Warren. Now, there's that surprise pick. I like Colston Loveland. He's my tight end 3. Colston Loveland is my tight end 3. I feel like he's a great receiving tight end. Great receiving tight end. There's one guy that I like better than him. Yeah, man. Wow. That is a surprise. That is a surprise. So yeah, there you go. You know, the Bears wanted to get Caleb Williams some more help. But you got to ask, what are they going to do on that defense, man? What are they going to do on that defense? Definitely had some holes last year. But yeah, back to Colston Loveland. You know, he's not a small guy. You know, he's 6'5" plus. You know, I think he brings an extremely impressive catch radius. You know, amazing catcher. But what is he going to do when he blocks? What is he going to do in the blocking situation? I think that he can go in and line up in the X. Extremely talented catcher. But part of that tight end duties is blocking as well. I think he's going to be able to separate extremely well. First step is solid. One of my notes here is if it's in his radius, he got it. That was one of my notes. If it's in his radius, he got it. Tyler Warren might mess around and be a 49er. I didn't really predict that at first, but I didn't predict Colson Loveland being a first rounder either, right? Definitely didn't predict that. I think that he can come in, be an immediate contributor. Who's that other guy? Cole Kmet. He got to come in and hope that his job is a compromise now. But that's the game. The 49ers pick is in. That means that my Cowboys are one pick away. We'll figure out who the 49ers are, in just a bit. Yeah, man. This is interesting. So the 49ers don't want to pay Brock Purdy, right? I'm sure that some people in Shedeur Sanders' room is looking with a side eye every pick. Yeah, Sam, I agree. I agree, bro. I did not see Colston going this early, especially ahead of Tyler Warren. And my tight end 2 is Arroyo from the U. I feel like he's a better route runner than Colson, as well as having very short hands. So yeah, man. But most people are not gonna agree with that. You really got to be in your scouting bag, and everybody's gonna have their own opinion on things, right? But yeah, I did not see. And I said Colson. I meant Loveland. Excuse me. I did not see Loveland going this early at all. Top 10 pick. Wow. So as far as players who are still on the board, from those, as far as rankings go, Walter Nolan's still there. Let's see. Mike Green is still there. You still have all of your receivers not named Tetairoa McMillan. So that could be like Ibuka, Golden, and Burden. But Luther Burden kind of got, other stuff going on off of the field that I think would prevent him from being, up here, even though he is extremely talented. But he kind of got to get that stuff straightened out. And yeah, that could have been a coach pick. That definitely could have been a coach pick who wants to help out their young quarterback. Jalen Walker's still there. Teams besides Philly have to learn how to just accept the fact that these UGA players, especially on their defense, they dogs. Every team not named Philly has to accept that these Georgia players are dogs. So Walker is still there. And I wouldn't be surprised if he comes off fairly soon, because you got teams that need defense. He could definitely be a Falcon. Said top 10 pick, but not the best tight end is crazy. Yeah, man. The board and the draft don't always coincide. That's why Cam Ward was your first overall pick. I'm all but guarantee that he wasn't number one on their board. He was just number one on their needs. So yeah, the board and the picks don't always coincide. He looked like Napoleon Dynamite, brother. Kip. Let's see who it is. Michael Williams. There you go. They gotta accept that these Georgia players are dogs. I'm cool with it. You gotta accept that these Georgia players are dogs, man. Can't let them all fall to Philly. Can't let all of the dogs fall to Philly, man. I know Michael Williams had health concerns. Well, not health concerns, but he got hurt in the year. I don't think that's going to be like a long-term concern or anything like that. I think he's very versatile. Shoot, you could put him at 3 if you want to. Throw him outside, put him in B gap, whatever you got to do, man. I think that he won a genetic lottery. Very, very, very large fella. And I think that he won't get tired. He won't get tired. Very high motor. Very tenacious. I think that his pass rush bag is deep. And he can stop the run. I think that's where you're gonna get a lot of the benefit from him. I think that he has a very high floor as a run defender, which a team like San Francisco needs. They want to stop these guys from trying to run the ball on them, so that they can run the ball on the other teams, right? Just a little raw, but a ton of potential. And you can't pass up on those traits. Can't pass up on the traits. Cannot pass up on the traits. The Cowboys are on the board. They could pick a receiver. They could pick an offensive lineman. They could pick a cornerback. Any position that's not named, that's not quarterback, they could pick. Any position that's not quarterback, they could pick. So let's see. Goodell's walking up to the stage. Let's see. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a guard. And that's going to piss me off. Boy, don't get me wrong. I like Tyler Booker, man. If you're talking about pure guard, not mad at it, man. I think he's the best pure guard in this draft. Not tackle that you got to move to guard. But my thing is, man, is how many linemen do you need to be first round picks? How many linemen do you need to be first round picks? And don't get me wrong, Zach Martin just retired, so there's a very clear hole. Very clear hole, but this is a very Cowboys move. This is a very Cowboys move. But yeah, man, Bama Lyman, very successful guys, very successful guys. I think that Tyler Booker, not only is he a large fella, I think that he brings, very, very solid balance into his position. And that's balance that you didn't have in Tyler Guyton. Man, what's up with all of the Tylers, right? And I don't mean balance in the literal sense, like, oh, he can, he plants himself very well. I mean balance like you can be comfortable with him there. And that's not something necessarily that they got out of Tyler Guyton last year. I think that he's a very heady player. He understands the game. If they sent him the playbook today, he'll be nose deep in it tonight. I think that he's a very powerful player. He may still have some room to grow. Get his grown man body. But my main issues with him were his foot speed. Like guys can zoom by him, which can be a little bit scary, because Dallas struggled against the run last year. And your guard center guard combo is very, very important. When it comes to succeeding in the run game. Yeah, man. Foot speed is my main concern with him. Foot speed is my main concern with Tyler Booker. Hopefully, if he gets with Duke Manyweather, that can be something that he improves on. Man, we took 3 Tylers in a row. That's a little weird. Tyler Booker, Tyler Guyton, Tyler Smith. That is strange. So, yeah, man, Tyler Booker. I like him. I think that he's very technically sound. High football IQ. But like I said, man, if he can work on that foot speed, with the work ethic that he has, with the competitiveness that he has, and like I said, that aforementioned football IQ, I think he can be a great player. Continue to be a great player. Let me word it that way. Not really sure about his strength. I don't know what to speak about it. Whether he's going to be somebody that can just pancake somebody. But yeah, the things that I did notice is his ability to not get fooled by the guy in front of him. Hmm. So who is next on the board? Miami. See, so the Dolphins kind of got some issues, man. The Dolphins have issues that they don't know what they want to do with Tyreek Hill. They don't know what they want to do with Jalen Ramsey. You know, they have some issues that they need to kind of work on. And if they would have made those trades before the draft, they would have had more picks to fill those issues, you know? And so it's like you could say, oh, they don't need a receiver because they have Hill and Waddle, but Hill may not be there come training camp, you know? Or you could say, oh, they have really good cornerbacks because they got Jalen Ramsey and Bradley oh man, what's Buddy's name? He plays safety for them. Obi Melifonwu's brother. You could say that DBs are straight because they got two solid DBs. And then Bradley Chubb sitting in front of them. And so, but you don't know if some of those guys can be there this year. You don't know, and that sucks. That sucks. So the Dolphins could be a team that could take like Will Johnson or something like that, as a guy opposite Jalen Ramsey or a replacement for Jalen Ramsey. They could take Emeka Ibuka as a Tyreek Hill replacement because who knows, man? Who knows how these picks are gonna go? Especially with the Dolphins. Who knows, man? But then they could also just pick the best player on the board, right? They could just mess around and take the best player off of the board. Which on my board, man, that might be. Is that Walter Nolan? No. This is gonna be a tough one, man. They could take Malachi Starks, Georgia safety. I wouldn't agree with a safety going to a team that has a lot of clear other needs. But yeah, man. Okay, here comes the pick. Kenneth Grant? Ah, boy. Okay, I guess. I mean, I'm not. Kendall Grant isn't a bad player. I just raise an eyebrow whenever teams kind of reach for a guy a little bit. Kendall Grant would have been a guy that I would have went kind of like in the 20s somewhere, but this is at 13. I think that for his size, when he's like 6'4", 340, massive dude. You know, he brings a quickness at the one tech position that is unexpected. I think that if he's single blocked, he can dominate the man across from him, and he does very well. He holds his own against double teams as well. You know, when you go in and when I went in and I was watching Graham, you know, Kenneth Grant jumped off of the screen. So I think that he's just very physically imposing. But with him, I wonder sometimes because I'm not gonna say that he took plays off, but maybe his mindset just isn't as violent as some of the guys who were beside him. You know, yeah. That's about the best way for me to word it. I think that he has great hand speed. His quickness is very good for his size. 340 pounds is a lot to move around. He does it swiftly. So while I said that his hand speed is good, he gotta work with like a judo master or something like that to get his hand placement down pat. Yeah, yeah. If he could just refine his game a little bit more, not just try to win based on violence and aggression, add some nuance to his game, he'll be great. But those are things that you can coach up, and coaching matters. I say that here all the time on Franklin Football. Coaching matters. So yeah. I can see this being where Tyler Warren comes off the board with the Colts. Indianapolis Colts are a team that needed a tight end. So let's hear it. Tyler Warren, yeah, not mad about that. That was kind of their focus going into this draft was, we need to get a tight end. So yeah. They get to. Drew Erlaw was putting that thing exactly where he needed to. And Tyler Warren's size allowed him to catch a lot of those high balls and things like that. But he's also a very good blocker, man. I think that he's going to be one of those complete tight ends. I think that if you're talking about complete tight ends, he's probably the most complete guy in this draft. I was surprised that Loveland went above him because Loveland definitely can't, do the whole package as good as Warren. Big fan of Drew Erlaw, by the way. It's a shame that he didn't come out this year. He might have been quarterback one. Let's see, where is this? Oh wow, I know where that is. That's crazy. I know where Tyler Warren's draft party is. Man, that is wow. Yeah, man. Tyler Warren, local guy here in Richmond. Went to one of these schools. But yeah, man, good to see a local kid get into the league. Good to see a local kid get into the league. Another one, anyway. I think that the Colts needed a tight end just because you got to give Anthony Richardson or Daniel Jones, I guess. You got to give him a safety blanket. He can't constantly feel the need to throw 60 yards down the field, right? And if you give him a tight end who can run the seam or something like that, just something to give him like 15 yards, and it doesn't have to be 50. That'll hopefully help him feel a bit more comfortable. That will hopefully help him feel more comfortable because I feel like Tyler Warren can do it all. He runs that seam route very well. Great hands. Made many circus catches at Penn State with Drew Erlaw throwing him the ball. I'll talk about the Rams in just a second. But yeah, man, he may not, and I'm still talking about Tyler Warren. He may not be like, that freak athlete, like Loveland, like Arroyo, who are going to be ultra refined route runners, with top tier hands, and they can run that whole route tree. But I think that Warren brings a versatility that they don't have. The guys that I just mentioned are just receiving tight ends. Tyler Warner is going to be an asset in the running and the passing game. So I think he was definitely the guy who the Colts were targeting from day one. And worthy of the pick too. Worthy of the pick for sure. So let's see who's up next. The Falcons are up next. Man, if Jalen Walker goes to them, that'll be a great pick. That'll be a great pick. Sam, you mentioned the Rams, man. You mentioned the Rams. They got a few needs, bro, but they really benefit from, for the most part, not needing to rely on the draft. Like, this is their first round pick in a long time. So they can mess around and take like a lineman or something like that just to keep Stafford on his feet. Like, even though he was really my favorite offensive lineman, Josh Simmons had those injury concerns. So yeah, they can mess around and take Josh Simmons, tackle Ohio State, and be able to ride into the sunset, you know? So yeah, they really have the freedom of being just able to pick the best guy that would be on the board. The Falcons have not turned in their pick yet. They may be trying to call around for trades, which would be, I'm not sure if I would do that. You got a quarterback who's in the second year, you know, try to make your team as good as possible for him. But yeah. I get it. If they want more picks. I get it for sure. But the reason that I think that the Falcons should work on that defensive front, man, they were not sacking the quarterback at all. They were like last in the league in sacks or close to it. So you got to get guys who can get to the passer. That will make your games a whole lot easier. That will make your games a ton easier. So that's going to be really where the Falcons can get the most benefit from. They weren't able to get Kirk Cousins off of the team, you know, so he's just going to be the most expensive backup in the league or something like that. So they couldn't get those extra picks, you know, whatever it might have been for Kirk Cousins. The pick is in, so they're standing and picking. The good thing about the Falcons, you know, in contrast to like where the Bears were, man, the Falcons got a very complete offense, right? You know, they got Drake London, they got Kyle Pitts, who's still kind of working his way to be the prospect that he was drafted to be. They got Bijan Robinson, who's top 5 running back easily. They got the guy from the Bears. I forget his name. Yeah, man, they got pieces on offense, and the offensive line isn't really too bad. They just have to help that defense, man. They have to be able to sack the quarterback. I think that is the most important thing for them to target is the ability to sack the quarterback. Jalen Walker might be my best player available right now. Once again, man, you can't deny how good these Georgia players are. All right, let's see. Goodell's coming up to the podium. Let's see what he got. Jalen Walker. There we go. There we go, man. Huge, huge pick. Huge pick. They needed to be able to rush the passer, and he is going to be able to do it. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. They got him listed as linebacker, sure, but he's gonna be on the edge most of the time. He's going to be on the edge most of the time. Very physical player. Let me pull up my notes on Jalen Walker right quick. Very fast guy, twitchy player. Gonna be able to get sideline to sideline very quickly. There we go. So I think that he won the genetic lottery, right? He has great size, but then he's also athletically gifted as well. You know what I'm saying? I think that, like I've said before, he's listed as a linebacker. He's going to spend a lot of his time on the edge, especially with the team that he's on. Atlanta has a need for edge rushers. He kind of wins off of just athleticism most of the time. So if he gets with someone who can help refine those instincts into technique, man, he's going to be dangerous. He is going to be dangerous. I think he's relentless in his pursuit. His lateral quickness is great, but I think he has to be able to get a little wiggle, a little bend into his frame. Do a little yoga, a little Pilates or something like that to help himself out. Definitely a win. Definitely a win for Atlanta. I like it. I like it a lot. The Cardinals, man. The Cardinals are on the clock at 16. What do they do? They're a team that I wasn't when I made that pick for them and I had them picking Walter Nolan. I wasn't really sure what the pick would be, They got receivers, they got tight ends. Kyler Murray kind of scurries all over the place. So, would like your traditional offensive lineman setup be beneficial for them? You can always improve the defense, get interior guys, get edge rushers and whatnot. You can always improve in that fashion. But what do they do? What do they need in order to improve? I'm not sure, man. I picked them with just looking at who would be the best player. All right, well, their pick is in. Just waiting for it to get announced. Let me see what their depth chart is looking like. Could they be a team that goes for Jihad Campbell? Like a traditional Mike. They got yeah. I mean, they could be a team where Jahai Campbell is the pick. They could be a team where Walter Nolan is the pick. Um, hmm. I predicted Walter Nolan. So we'll see. We will see who is the pick. You could see my 1 point only mock draft if you follow me on Twitter. The ad is in the description of this video. Walter Nolan. Yeah, called that one. Good interior defensive lineman, man. He's a good interior defensive lineman. I'm not mad about it. I'm not mad about it. He might have been the best player available on the board. I don't have my board up for real. I keep my mock up right here. Like, the screen is right here. Watching the draft on this screen, so this whole screen is kind of taken up. So I'm really only working off of one screen for real. So yeah, y'all are right here. My mock's right there. Walter Nolan, man, I think he's really physically gifted. Didn't he do like a really slow shuttle, if I recall? I can't quite remember it off of the top of my head. Something that kind of made people a little nervous. I can't recall though. I think that he's a naturally powerful guy. Upper body strength is all there. So he just beat people up with his hands, which is great. And I feel like he kind of knows what he's doing with his hands, which allows him to shut off of blocks. Be a really what's a good word? Important, I guess. I don't know. Impactful. There we go. An impactful run defender. I think that if he gets better pre-snap, I think he can be a bit better. I think he has a high floor because of his natural strength. Yeah, I like Walter Nolan. I like Walter Nolan a lot. If guys' issues are something that they can be taught, then that's great. I think that Walter Nolan just has to learn how to use his lower body strength a little better. Add that bull rush to his bag, baby. Whew. But yeah, if he learns how to use his lower body strength a little better, and if he gets better on the pre-snap, then I think that he'll be great. And this is the thing. I don't take away from when guys have short arms. I got short arms. But if a guy has long arms, and that's something that he can use to his success, then I count that in his favor. Hey, look, I never said that I wasn't a hypocrite with that. But yeah, Walter Nolan has long arms, and he does know how to use them to win his matchups. Yeah, man, I like the pick. He's very versatile. I'm not gonna say that he's gonna come in and be like a nose or nothing like that. No, but you can move him all around. So who's picking next? The Bengals. Are they actually going to pick a defensive player? Because the Bengals' philosophy right now seems to be that they're going to score 100 points every game. But the team that they're playing against is going to score like 102 or something crazy like that. Yeah, they don't really know what they're gonna do with Trey Hendrickson and all of that. That situation's a little crazy. Um, and the DBs porous. Um, yeah, man. Yeah, it's the Bengals defense is scary and not in a good way. Excuse me, not in a good way at all. The player who I predicted for them is already going. I predicted that they would be the team to draft Kenneth Grant. So yeah, that ain't gonna happen. They could take Jade Barron or Will Johnson. Yeah, they could be the team to take one of these DBs. Yeah. Hmm. This is an interesting one, man. The Bengals got holes that are very clear. They need to be able to keep Joe Burrow on his feet. They need to be able to play NFL defense. Yeah, man. I am interested in what this pick will be. It could be one of these corners. It could be an offensive lineman somewhere. Um, yeah, yeah. I don't know. I don't know. They recently drafted a guy. They recently drafted Amarius Mims to be on the right side. Yeah, yeah. They signed Orlando Brown from Kansas City a while back. Um, yeah, but is there like a guard? Like I named two tackles. Is there a guard that they would draft here? You know, I'm not sure who they would draft. Maybe they'll draft a. I don't know. I feel like it could be corner. I feel like the pick could be corner. Goodell's coming up to the stage, taking his time, of course. Shamar Stewart. Yeah, they went and got an edge rusher. They got to be able to play NFL defense, man. Shamar Stewart is cool. Going on the late teens, yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Um, because I'm not sure what edge rusher would be better. And that's not to say that he's bad. That's not to say that he's bad. He would have been one of those guys that I would have picked like at 25 range or something like that, though. But when you don't really have an edge rusher that's better, you know. Yeah. The Boston College kid is still there. Mike Green is still there. So yeah, there's definitely guys that I like, but let me kind of wax poetically for a second. Mike Green's issue is that he plays for a small school. He plays for Marshall, you know. And while he beat up on the competition that was opposite him, they were guys that played against Marshall, right? You know, you the competition is going to be the things that everyone scrutinizes. So I understand why Mike Green is still there. Because like when Mike Green played against Ohio State and Josh Simmons and them, he had a little bit of a time. But besides that, who did he play? Virginia Tech, and the Pips. The others. That's really who he played against. And Virginia Tech really ain't nothing to write home about, when it comes to, top tier old lineman and a guy who you can really hang that victory above your mantle, So I'm not disagreeing with anybody that says that Mike Green's issue is the level of competition that he played against. Not upset at it at all. I mean, it's a very valid defense. Very valid defense. Hmm. We're halfway through the first round right now. Halfway through. Is there a pick that was your favorite pick? Is there a pick that was your worst pick? Well, least favorite pick, most hated pick, whatever you want to call it. Let me know. Hmm. Seattle wasn't able to get out of the pit. Seems like that was something that they wanted to do. They might have called a team like Pittsburgh or something like that. Somebody who's they got their fingers crossed for like Shedeur Sanders or something like that right now. Um, yeah, yeah. It doesn't surprise me that only one quarterback was taken so far. Truly doesn't surprise me. Um, when you got to talk about how this quarterback class stacks up against previous ones. I mean, that was already kind of like the conversation, right? Is that this is I'm not gonna say a bad class, but the talent doesn't stack up to like the last 5 years. I mean, except for that 2022 year where Kenny Pickett was taken. So yeah, man. But one thing I can say about Shamar Stewart is at least he's not going somewhere where he's the only guy. He has Trey Hendrickson on the opposite side of him. Yeah, man. Yeah, it's cool. It is cool. I think he comes in great size, very, very, very big man. Um, great, good arm length. Very explosive guy. Very explosive guy. Um, I mean, let's see. He's a potential guy. Like he's a traits guy. He played against. Hold on. All right, Seahawks. Okay, Gray Zabel. That is a surprise. That is a surprise. Yeah, didn't expect him to be taken in the first round. Very flexible guy. Zabel's a very flexible guy. He's played all up and down the offensive line. Um, so wherever Seattle needs him to go, yeah, just give him a week's notice, I guess, and he'll be there, right? Um, yeah, I'm a little shocked. I am a little shocked at that Great Zabel pick. I think that he's a solid player. He's a solid player, but yeah, just didn't expect uh, two pure guards. Well, I'm not even gonna call him a pure guard. He just happened to play guard. Um, he's a player that I didn't expect to be taken here. He provides a versatility to be able to kind of move around. I hope that they don't really do him that disservice of moving him all around, especially as a young guy. As a Cowboy fan, I can see how that can kind of mess someone up. Look how we did Tyler Smith, right? Um, because he is so versatile, I think that he has the feet to be able to play tackle extremely well. He's light on his feet, like he was a ballerina or something like that in the past life. But then he also has pretty good hand movement. To be able to put them bear claws on some guys to be able to maintain those blocks on the inside, like you would see from a guard. Yeah, yeah, I think he's like a jack of all trades, a master of none type thing. which is nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. For a team that just has a need on offensive line and they're looking for a guy to fill it, yeah, sure. But my only hope is that once they find where they want him to be at, I hope that they keep him there and don't move him to the opposite end, the next year, and then to another place the next year after that, you know. So Tampa is up next. Tampa Bay is up next. And then after that, you have Denver and Pittsburgh. Tampa could be a team. Mike Evans is a little older now. They might be a team that wants a receiver, or they might be a team that wants one of these cornerbacks. They could definitely pick on either side of the ball in that case. I'm excited to see that because Tampa's one of those teams that managed to turn things around rather quickly after that Tom Brady Super Bowl. They had that year after him. After he retired, which kind of looked a little shaky. But Baker came in and filled that role admirably, man. Baker came in and did his job. Both of the corners are still there. Jahdae Barron, Will Johnson. They could definitely go. Malachi Starks is still there. Could definitely see that being a possible pick. Let's see here. I don't know who Tampa would pick. Tampa's one of those teams where it can go either way. I could see them picking a receiver or DB. It can definitely go either way. One thing I'd feel pretty confident in saying, though, is that the Broncos could highly likely pick a running back. Like, I could see them being the team that takes Omarion Hampton. I could definitely see that. And this would be a great area for him, too. Low 20s. I would rather than not be a run on running backs, just because I feel like my Cowboys would need a guy in day two. So I definitely would feel comfortable with that if they decided to take a different position besides Omarion Hampton next to Denver. Deion Sanders is a little upset, seems. All right, so let's see. No, they're not announcing it yet. With Tampa Bay, man, I just feel like, what's the best way to word it? Tampa Bay doesn't have too many urgent needs, thankfully. Yeah. Let's see. I could, like I said before, I could definitely see them going receiver, corner. Mike Evans is older. Godwin is often injured. Let's see. Yep. Emeka Ibuka. Yeah. Nothing wrong with that, man. Nothing wrong with that. That's a great pick. Yeah. Yeah, I like Emeka Ibuka. I think he's the highest floor guy. Um, so yeah, you gotta replace Mike Evans someday, right? You gotta replace Mike Evans someday, and it might as well be now. You gotta replace Mike Evans someday. Yeah, this is cool. Ohio State is continuing to be, a team that can put out really, really good receivers. Last year, Marvin Harrison went. Then you had JSN, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave. They put out a guy every year. They put out a guy every single year. Nothing wrong with that at all. And he's gonna do good with Baker. He's gonna do good with Baker. Baker's a very tough quarterback. He'll be able to fight through the pressure and get his receivers the ball. And Ibuka is going to be a guy, even if the pass isn't perfect. If it's within his wingspan, he's going to be able to get it. That was a good pick. That was a really good pick. Extremely high floor receiver. Yeah, they look, and I mentioned Jackson Swift and Jake, but that's a good measuring stick for him. That's a good measuring stick. So next you have the Broncos. I could really see them being the team that drafts the running back. Give Bo Nix a little bit more help. And there's only been one guy off of the board. Great for my Cowboys. And I know Denver would be happy for this. They would be happy to take Hampton or TreVeyon Henderson. I could see them being two guys who could be happily drafted by the Broncos. You got to ask yourself who would be the type of runner that Sean Payton wants. That's something that I'm not quite sure. Does he want a Kamara type? If he wants a Kamara type, I'm not sure that the Hampton would be that guy. He is like a physically imposing type where he's gonna use his lower body to push through everything. Be explosive. I'll save my eval for whoever they take, after that. But I guess I'll say if they're taking Hampton, they're going to really be trusting in their line because vision is one of the areas where he kind of struggles. And that is the only thing that I'll say about him until he's picked, I guess. I don't know. So the good thing about the Broncos is they seem to have their quarterback, right? So they don't have to worry but so much about that. Bo Nix had a great year last year. and they're hoping to kind of build upon that. Once again, who wouldn't? And then they brought in guys like Evan Ingram, who was with Jacksonville, to be able to give them more weapons. They still have Cortland Sutton. They're hoping that Marvin Mims can continue to develop. I was a big fan of him anyway. They signed what was his name? Wake Forest guy. Last year, they drafted him last year. Excuse me, not signed him. They actually signed a couple guys. Well, drafted a couple guys last year because they drafted Troy Franklin too. A.T. Perry, that's his name. But the running back seems to be the really needy area on the offense. They drafted Altric Estime, but he doesn't seem to be the answer that they're looking for. Like they just want like a solid dude. They kind of don't want to play the will they want their game. Is he good enough? Is he not? Type thing. And I respect it. You got to have an answer. The Broncos have a decent defense. Decent defense. Pat Surtain is great back there. Nick Bonito is great back there. So I'm not upset if they choose to go running back, which seems to be the biggest need.
What is important to you?
All right. They're walking out with the pick now. So let's see here. All right, well, while he's kind of, talking about their calls, Denver's going to be one of those teams that's unfortunate enough to play in the same division as Kansas City, but so that means that they may not be winning the division for a little bit, As long as Pat there, hey, Pat gonna do Pat things. But they're going to have to be a team that is going to be competing for a wild card spot for a while, right? Running the ball is back. So Jahdae Barron, I'm kind of shocked at that. I mean, yeah, he's higher on my board than Hampton, but I figured they would have went and satisfied the best need. Yeah, he has an eye for the ball. He knows what to be. Not upset at it. He's a great player. I've talked about a whole bunch of teams who could take Jahdae Barron, right? I talked about him potentially going with the last pick. Jahdae Barron is a great player. Not counting Travis Hunter, because he's the best corner in this draft. So let's call it what it is, because I think that Travis Hunter's a corner. He's the second best corner in this draft. I think he's really very versatile. There we go. I think he plays well in zone. He can be everywhere, man. He can be everywhere. I think that he has a solid frame, like he has an athletic frame. He can tackle, which is something that is refreshing in a corner. I think that he's a very instinctual player. Like I said, he just knows what to be in order to play on that ball, man. And he does have very good ball skills. Has an eye to know how to just not let the ball hit him in the face. Has a track background, which is good. So he can accelerate, but he may not have that extra gear. Yeah. Yeah, I think he's going to come in and be a very competitive player opposite Pat Surtain. Yeah, yeah, I think I like it. I like it. So now Pittsburgh's on the board. Pittsburgh is on the board. Um, I am talking about Jahdae Barron, the corner from Texas. That's my wife. Jahdae Barron was just drafted by the Denver Broncos. Surprise pick for me. Surprise pick. But I think that he's going to be a very good player. So the Steelers are on the clock. I can see this being where Shedeur Sanders, quarterback Colorado, is taken because the Steelers have a quarterback problem. And Aaron Rodgers continues to do Aaron Rodgers things. Yeah. They decided not to make a commitment to Justin Fields or Russell Wilson last year. So it's a bunch of guys, Mason Rudolph, Skylar Thompson, those type of dudes who you wouldn't really trust to lead your franchise. I could definitely see this being the Shedeur Sanders pick. I could 100% see this being the Shedeur Sanders pick. Pittsburgh needs a quarterback. They haven't taken a quarterback in the first round since Ben Roethlisberger. Well, you know what? I take that back. They haven't succeeded with a quarterback since Ben Roethlisberger. They drafted Kenny Pickett. Waste of a pick. Yeah. Yeah. So let's see what they do. Let's see what they do. Goodell is coming up to the podium. Oh, wow. That's a reach, brother. That is a reach, brother. Hey. That right there is what I call a reach. Definitely didn't have a first. I mean, well, I'm out of first round grade players right now, so you know that kind of is what it is. Derek Harmon's like one of those guys that's like a middle of the second round type of player, like looking at like 50 or something like that. That's where I would look at Derek Harmon. Wow, that is an interesting one. So on their defensive line, the Steelers now have T.J. Watt, Harmon. What's the other dude's name? You know what? I have the power of the world in the palm of my hands. Let me look it up. Cam Hayward is still there. You know, stalwart. Man, he's been there for forever. Cam Hayward was drafted in like 2011. Jesus. Man, that's crazy. And then after Hayward, it'll be the Rook. It'll be the Rook. So yeah. That's a bit of a reach, man. Derek Harmon was a bit of a reach. But I guess he'll be that nose. Just kind of go from there. Unless they're moving Cam Hayward into the nose. Yeah. That is surprising, man. That is surprising. Okay. Okay. Man, that's an interesting one, man. That's an interesting one, man. Um, like I said, they wanted to make their strength stronger. I respect it. I respect it, but are you gonna trust Mason Rudolph and Skylar Thompson to be your quarterbacks? You know, maybe they want to be kind of like the in the Arch Manning conversation already for next year or the year after that. Um, yeah, I guess. I guess unless they're one of those teams that are looking at like unless there's a run like Jackson Dart early in the second or something like that, or I'm not sure if Shador would be one of those people that'll make it past Cleveland and the Giants at the top of round two. I think that he could be one of those guys that does like that. But man, I'm shocked. Unless someone trades up, Shador's going to be a day two guy because none of these teams need a quarterback that are coming up. The Chargers need to keep Justin Herbert on his feet. The Chargers need to keep Justin Herbert on his feet, and they need to, just get better on defense. We talk about my Cowboys for a minute, man. Taking a lineman again is kind of interesting, dog. I said this before, but how much first round talent does a team need on the offensive line? You want them to be good, and I know I said before, your offensive line is 45% of your offense, right? But at a certain point, you got to get by with guys who aren't first round picks. You feel me? You got to get by with guys who aren't first round picks. And offensive linemen don't put points on the board, right? So yeah, they're not gonna be the sexiest pick. Yeah, man, you needed a wide receiver there. Needed a wide receiver there. That would have been great. Or trade back, but seems like nobody has been really wanting to trade back, except for Cleveland and the Jaguars. That has, I mean, it's been very few trades this year in the first round. This is interesting, man. Yeah, this has been a very interesting period of time. Very few trades. Hmm. So with the Chargers here, yes, they need to keep Justin Herbert on his feet. But they could also be the type of team that would mess around and take like an edge rusher or something like that. I predicted the Boston College edge rusher, Donovan Izuriake or something like that. I apologize for butchering your name, but yeah. But Mike Green's there. So yeah. Um, hmm. But then they're also not like a super fast offense, right? Um, so it's like maybe they can mess around and take like a faster player. Um, this wouldn't be the round for Royal to go. That he would probably be like a late round two player. Um, so yeah, they could definitely use some speed on offense. Um, they got Mike Williams back, but he's always hurt. So they're kind of hoping that Quentin Johnson can take the leap alongside Ladd McConkey, who came in his rookie year and played well. Maybe they want a speed receiver. I don't really see another tight end going here. I don't really see this being a tight end. A receiver maybe. Linebacker could be. No. Linebacker, they actually pretty good. They got Tui Pelotu from Bama. I think he played with. Who did he play? No, he played for like USC or something like that. I don't even remember. Then they got Diane Henley. He's pretty good. So yeah, actually, I don't think that they would go with the linebacker. But I could see them taking like a D tackle or edge rusher. Could definitely see that. I could see that. Khalil Mack's getting a little older. All right, so let's see. Omarion Hampton, really? That is an interesting one. Running back wasn't what I expected them to do. They signed Najee Harris. Yeah, that's an interesting one. That's an interesting one. It's cool. I mean, they got two dogs and runners now. Harbaugh likes his runners. Cool. Just wasn't what I expected. I mean, don't get me wrong. Omarion Hampton's a really good player. This is an area where I feel like he could have went. So I'm not upset about this at all. I'm upset because I don't want it to be a run on running backs for the Cowboys. Need that. But as far as him being a Charger, wasn't expected. But I'm not upset at it at all. I'm not upset about it because I feel like he can come in and be able to contribute. Man, one trade in day one is actually pretty crazy. One trade in day one is pretty crazy. Okay, so the Packers on the clock. Crowd is going wild. Obviously, right? Man, that's a huge crowd. That's crazy. Um, do they need a wide receiver? Because this is what the people are talking about now. Um, the Packers got some dudes, right? Christian Watson is still good. Romeo Dobbs is still good. Jaden Reed is still good. Um, Dontavian Wicks is good. They signed Miko Hardman. Um, so do they really need a wide receiver in the first round? They have been doing good picking guys in that day 2 and 3, right? The second round for wide receiver seems to kind of be that bad. So do they need a wide receiver? Maybe, maybe not. They have two tight ends. They got Luke Musgrave, who they picked 2 years ago in the second round. They got Tucker Kraft. He's a third round guy. And so, yeah, man, I'm not sure if the Packers need a pass catcher right now. Now they can definitely benefit from it. But like I said, they got some dogs. So would Matthew Golden or Luther Burden, come in and be like the best receiver in that room right now? I don't know. It's an interesting thing. Interesting thing. That is interesting, man. Who do the Packers pick? Man, the Packers are taking a while though. Are they going to sit and pick? Are they going to sit and pick? All right, the pick is in. Yeah, they eventually made the pick, but there seemed to have been, I guess, a little bit of contention behind it. Who knows? Who knows? Packers are a complete team, dog. The Packers are a complete team. Um, all right, boom. Packers got a solid defense. They rocking out there with Rashawn Gary. They got Jai Alexander, who they may be trying to trade. I don't know. Xavier McKinney's still there. Yeah, man, they got some dudes. Edge Cooper. They got some dudes, man, on defense. So it's like they're not really struggling like that. It's a good position to be in. Just take the best player available and ride off into the sunset, right? Mm. That's the cool thing about Green Bay. They don't have an owner of the team. Yeah, I mean, the way that he's talking about it, they're the only community-owned team. Should be more like that. That would be dope, right? That would be dope. Yeah, man. Like I was saying, bro, with the Packers could definitely take a receiver here, right? But it's like whether it's like I said, Golden Burden, um, would they come in and be the best guy in the room? Oh, there we go. Yeah, they already called it. Cool. It's gonna be a receiver. Matthew Golden. Yeah, great pick. Great pick. Matthew Golden is a great player. I wanted him on my Cowboys. But it's just like they are a really complete team, so it's nothing to be. I mean, the Packers got a dude in Golden. The Packers got a dude. Let me pull up my notes on him. Let's see here. Let me just filter that. Cool. Search for Golden. All right, boom. So my thing about Matthew Golden is when I went and tried to watch Isaiah Bond, right? He was the guy that kind of jumped off of the page. That's my first sentence. When I tried to watch Isaiah Bond, Golden jumped off of the page. I think that he runs routes extremely well. Like his footwork is going to be where he wins. His footwork is going to be where he wins, which is a very nuanced skill. A lot of guys nowadays just try to win off of like bully ball, and that's not what he about. He wins with technique, finesse. Like look at some of his sideline catches this year. It was great. Yeah, man. Yeah, I like the Matthew Golden pick. I like the Matthew Golden pick. The Packers were able to benefit from being a complete team who can go in and just pick the best player available. And Matthew Golden was probably the best player left on the board. Probably. His ball skills, man, are just great. His ball skills are great. Like you give that man a sideline to be able to keep the defender away from the ball, man. Where he can adjust, tap those toes. Let's see who is next. The Vikings here. So the Vikings have a good situation where they are not like they didn't have to be super worried about the quarterback when they lost Sam Darnold because they had JJ McCarthy just waiting in the background, right? Unfortunate injury to him. Shoot, he didn't even feel like it was a season-ending thing. His knee was just hurt. The Vikings got weapons on offense, dude. They got Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason as their running backs. TJ Hawkinson as their tight end. Jetta and Jordan Addison as the receivers. They really don't need a thing on offense for real unless they're trying to see if they can somehow improve their offensive line, right? So yeah, man. I could see the Vikings and they have pieces on defense because they spent the money. They went out and got Hargrave from San Fran, Jonathan Allen from all around, from previously Washington and all of that. Yeah, man. The Vikings are a team that can benefit from their offseason success. Where they sign guys, draft pretty well, so they can really do whatever they want to. The Vikings are another team that can just take the best guy on the board and kind of ride out. You feel me? Which is great, man. That's great. Ah, okay. There's a trade. The Rams have made a trade with the Giants. That's cool. Let's see. Let me see if I can find. Yeah, Donovan Jackson. Yeah, they take a guard. That's cool. Like I said, unless they wanted to somehow take a old lineman to keep JJ McCarthy on his feet, hey, no issue with it, man. No issue with it. He wouldn't have been my best player, best offensive lineman. Still on the board. That'll be Josh Simmons. But hey, man, that's no issue at all. There's no issue at all. He's played at guard and tackle. I wouldn't be surprised if he has snapped a few balls too. Played a little center. I wouldn't be surprised at that. He's. I hate this description because it seemed kind of stupid. He's one of those guys that'll just bring his lunch pail into work. Very hard working kid. Not gonna be flashy. But he's gonna work hard every single day. I think he has great technique at any offensive line position, whether you want to play him on the left or the right. Yeah, his fundamentals are gonna win him a day. And he'll probably come in and be their starter. I'm not even sure who their starting guard is on the left side. Blake Brandel. Yeah. Yeah. He can come in. Donovan Jackson can definitely come in and be their starter on the left side. Which is great because, like I said, you want your quarterback, which JJ McCarthy, for all intents and purposes, is a rookie due to his season and injury last year. You want your rookie to be able to stay on his feet. With that Giants trade, that's probably gonna mean that Shedeur Sanders is off of the board, right? Right. All right, so let's see. And I hate that that's ahead. That means that, in on the broadcast, that means that Houston has already picked. I don't know who that is yet. It's just gonna be interesting, man. Texas could definitely use some offensive line help. Uh, Got to keep Stroud on his feet. Got to keep Stroud on his feet. Hmm. So for the Texans, CJ Stroud had his injuries just due to guys being able to get by his offensive line. So this could be another one of those teams where I see Josh Simmons going. If he has a clear bill of health. Um. So yeah. I'm tripping. I'm tripping. They didn't trade with the Rams. They traded with the Texans. I'm tripping. Yeah, Giants picking at 25. That's about to be Shador. That's what I feel. This is about to be Shador. They had to get ahead of the Browns, who were picking first in the second round. Oh yeah, Shador all smiles now. This has to be Sanders. Um, I feel like Sanders' confidence makes New York a really good place for him. Um, he has the celebrity to be able to succeed in a big city, which the New York media is historically extremely unforgiving. So somebody like him who was raised in the spotlight um, isn't going to be as affected by that. Um, Granted, on my screen the pick hasn't come through yet, so could not be him. Who knows? Let me see what the trade value was for that trade. Okay, so the Texans got pick 34, which is where the Giants were picking. Second pick tomorrow. Pick 99, which is in the third round, and then a 2026 third round pick. So yeah, yeah, that's not that expensive when you're thinking about it. To go and get your favorite quarterback in the draft, giving up a second and two thirds. Boy, I wish my Cowboys would could have got something like that. We need those guys, those picks. I mean, all right, let's see. Goodell is walking up. Whoa, Atlanta gave up a bag. Jackson Dart. Wow. Interesting. Hmm. Um. So the thing about Jackson Dart, if this was just his 2023 film, I would have said that he should have went way higher, right? But in 2024, he did not look as good. Jackson Dart did not look like the guy that was on the field in 2023 in this most recent season. He didn't. I think that Dart is a good playmaker, right? And once again, I will look at a guy on his highest highs, right? And give him that grace right there. I think that he has great awareness in the pocket. I think that he has a great arm. He's a good passer. I think that he has a solid grasp of, like the fundamentals of the position. Tries not to throw like sidearm off of his back foot, and things like that. And if you give him a clean pocket, I think that he can pick apart a team, man. Jackson Dart does well there. I think the thing that he has to work on is like his ball placement on the deep throws. And maybe that's like a Armstrong type thing. Maybe that's what that is. He's a decently mobile quarterback. Like most college quarterbacks nowadays, he does best in like the shotgun. So that way he can get a little bit of breathing room from defenders. But yeah, man. Yeah, I think that Jackson Dart at his highest highs is a really good quarterback. And his highest highs being his 2023 film. That's what I believe.
What is important to you?
All right, let's see here. What was the trade value for this Falcons pick? Let's see here. Man, giving up next year's, they gave up a bag, man. They gave up a bag to move back up right here, but I wonder what they wanted. I wonder, let me not say that. I wonder who they wanted. These are people we talking about, right? This is interesting. For James Pierce? I mean, I guess you want to make your defensive line that you just drafted to do with better. They want to get sacks. They want to get sacks. I get it. But man, they gave up a lot. They gave up a bag for that. For that trade. Man, I mean, James Pierce is a cool player. I think his first step is really good. I think he operates on speed. all around. Hand placement works extremely fast. His foot movement extremely fast. First step, lightning quick, right? Has extreme twitch in his game. Yeah. He can give quarterbacks fits with that. He can give quarterbacks fits just with his natural speed ability, right? And all of that is trait stuff, right? Like he's 6'5", 240, so a big dude, extremely fast. But the nuances of his game is where he has to learn how to beat guys who know supreme hand placement and leverage, right? Being good at your position is what's going to help him get to the next level, because right now he's getting by being faster than everybody. It's like having a race car and not knowing how to drive it. That's kind of what he got going on right now. Man, I'm surprised that Pittsburgh, the team that needed the quarterback, and the Giants both passed on Travis Hunter. Like, was Jackson Dart's 2024, 2023 enough to say I'm not as worried about his 2024? That is really interesting. But if he lasts to the end of day one without anyone trading up to get him, I could definitely see Cleveland targeting Shedeur at the top of day 2. Now it's a shame that he won't be able to play with Travis Hunter, but hey, the game is the game, right? Let's see here. Let's see. Day 2. Let's see what these picks are looking like, right? Okay, so at 33, got the Browns. The Texans traded back to 34, and the Browns got 36. Yeah, they really aren't in danger of anybody taking them now. I mean, they could still go out and get a decent quarterback. They can definitely still go out and get a decent guy. Yeah. So who is on the board? Let me see. Who's on the clock? Baltimore? Yeah. 6 more picks left. All right, so the Ravens could be another one of those teams that are looking for like a receiver. Luther Burden got all of that off of the field test. Yeah. So yeah, they still got Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman, but they have definitely spent first round picks on receivers, including both of the guys that I just mentioned in 2023 and 2021. The Ravens could be a team that must run and draft a defensive player. Like I could see this being Starks from Georgia, Malachi Starks from Georgia, safety. Um, I can even see this being like man, actually, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Could this be like a D tackle or something? Because the Ravens got dudes on defense. They got dudes on defense. Calvin Noy is still there. Roquan Smith is in the middle. Maybe a corner. Maybe a corner. Malachi Starks. Yeah, I was right the first time. Sorry, Ardarius Washington. Apologies to you, brother, because I believed in you when you were coming out. I believed in you when you were coming out. But they're not gonna sit Kyle Hamilton down. They are not gonna sit Kyle Hamilton down. So, Ardarius Washington, I'm sorry to you. Unless they think about moving Washington to corner or something like that. But I don't know. I highly doubt that. He ain't got the size for it. Man, Malachi Starks got speed though. Malachi Starks definitely has speed. I didn't expect him to last this long. But I guess safeties kind of go a little bit later. And he was easily the best safety in the draft. Easily. He had a very strong career at Georgia. These teams gotta finally start realizing that these Georgia players are dogs and take them early, right? And he did it for like 3 or 4 years. He can track a play from beginning to end. He's a very heady player. And then you combine that with his willing tackling and naturally good speed. He is going to make Baltimore's tackling situation a lot better. He is a very good tackler. I wouldn't say that he's like a transcendent athlete or nothing like that, but he's a very fast guy. Very fast guy. He's a good fit for Baltimore though. Malachi Starks is a good fit for Baltimore. For a long time, the Ravens were known for their defense, and so you just make your strength stronger, right? Like I said with previous teams, like I said with Pittsburgh, you just make your strength stronger. So it's cool. I mean, I can understand that they didn't pick a receiver. I mean, they got 2 first round guys within the last 4 or 5 years over there. So I get it.
What is important to you?
It's really interesting here. The Browns could have had uh Travis Hunter and Shador Sanders without even worrying about like a trade situation. I mean, hindsight is 2020, of course, but it's a little interesting. That's interesting, man. Let me see. Detroit. Man, who would Detroit take? This is a good one. Lions. They might need a guy, but like alongside Aiden Hutchinson or something like that. I can see that being a thing. Um, I mean, because you see how much they. I mean, and you can't have a team full of Aiden Hutchinsons, right? They were a very hurt team last year. Um, but their whole defensive line just crapped the bed once Aiden Hutchinson went out. So maybe they could be a team. They could be a team that would look for like one of these edge rushers or something like that, or maybe one of these D tackles. I'm not sure. Hmm. Yeah, this is gonna be an interesting one. Let me see. So small school guy, right? Mike Green. He could definitely help the Lions. The production is there, but man, it's just against like dentists and plumbers and computer science majors and things like that, right? Those are like the guys who Mike Green played against.
What
Hmm.
is important to you?
Who else could they pick? Nick Gordon, Texas A&M is still there. Um, let's see. Let me shut up and listen. Tyleik Williams. Tyleik Williams. Yeah, they had to upgrade their defensive line, and I'm not upset about it. They just decided to go in the middle instead of getting the edge rusher. That'll be able to help stop the run. That can definitely be able to help stop the run. He knows how to fill those gaps. Yeah, I like it, man. I like it. Another Virginia native, which is cool. I think that what Tyleik Williams is going to do, like I said before, is stop teams from running against him. That's going to be his bag. Um, so teams won't be able to get like that 7, 8 yards on first down, that 4 or 5 yards on second down. He Tyleik Williams is going to be able to help turn what would have been 3rd and 2 into like 3rd and 6, which is cool. He's going to help the guys beside him. He's going to help their job. Yeah, I like it. I like it. But he has a job. Tyleik Williams has a guaranteed role, right? Which is going to be stop the run. Tyleik Williams' job is to stop the run, um, and hopefully he does so. Because if you look at last year, Detroit could not do anything after Agent Hutchinson went down. Hmm. So who is picking next? Washington,
What is
the
important to
Commanders.
you?
Uh, they lost a few guys in free agency. That's kind of like the issue because last year they had a team that was put together very well from their free agent acquisitions and things of that nature, right? Um, hmm. But then they also signed some good guys. Like they signed Javon Kinlaw, which is cool. Dorrance Armstrong's still there, by way of Dallas. And then they also signed. They also got Deebo Samuel from San Francisco for like, 2 Lunchables or something like that. So, yeah, I think that Washington doesn't really need like receivers or anything like that. They lost their like deep threat, De'Ami Brown. I think he was once they figured out that he runs 9 routes really really good. They started doing it, and they kind of lost that because that was his bag. But what would they do? Corner. They need corners bad. Marshawn Lattimore wasn't the guy that they thought that he would be. Quan Martin can't do it all on his own. I forget who their first round pick who ended up being a bust from like 2 years ago. But he's not there anymore. Yeah, so I could definitely see Washington taking a corner. Will Johnson's whole thing is like injury concerns, though, right? So are they going to take him? This is interesting, man.
What is important to you?
Who would be like another like Siobhan Revel? Siobhan Revel might be a good pick for them. Trey Amos, that might be a good pick for them. It's crazy. Washington went from 2nd overall to 29th in the span of a draft. That's progress for you, though. That's definitely progress. Nothing wrong with that at all. Okay, let's see. Okay, yeah. Drafting O-line. And I like Connolly. Like him better than a few of these teams' guards that they picked, actually. Connolly could actually play guard. But, yeah, man. I like Josh Connolly. You got to protect your quarterback. Nothing wrong with that. You got to protect your quarterback, so I am not upset about that at all. I think that Josh Connolly already has the movement skills of like a very good tackle already. He has, very good length arms. I think he still got like a little kid body though. And not like a little kid body, but he still has, like, he can still grow more into his frame. I think that his punch is good. So when he's run defending, they gonna feel it. They're gonna feel it, and no edge rusher is really gonna want somebody hands in their chest 20 times in a row. You know what I'm saying? But when I talked about that punch, he got to work on his placement with it. He got to be one of those guys that train with like a judo master. Um, for the next few months and years and so on and so forth, so that his hand placement can get better. Because once he knows how to really hem you up, he got the strength to do it. He definitely has the strength to do it. High ceiling guy though. High ceiling guy. You don't see too many people that are like 320 pounds that still looks like they have room to grow. So yeah. Yeah. I like the pick. I like the pick. Let's see. Man, there's only been one corner off of the board. I could see that being the next pick. I could definitely see. Could definitely see the Bills taking a corner. Kaiir Elam didn't really work out for them. Mike Green is still a thing. It really seems like the level of competition that he played against is starting to be like a negative for him, right? I mean, which it's a reality. It's a reality. The Bills got Tre'Davious White on one end. Man, he's like an 8-year player now. That's crazy. Joey Bosa's there now. They also got Greg Rousseau at Oliver. Taylor Rapp is still a solid safety. Yeah, man, I could see them being a team that'll take a receiver, another receiver, or taking a corner. But this is where things really gotta be taken account for. What is his name? The receiver. Luther Burden. Those off the field issues are definitely causing his slide. All right. Goodell is coming up to the stage with his special guest for the pick. So let's see what we got going on here. Okay, Make-A-Wish Foundation.
What is important to you?
I did not expect that kid to have such a deep voice. Okay, yep. Bill's got a corner. Yeah, Bill's got a corner. Not mad at it. Will Johnson's injuries are starting to make him slide a bit. Um, Ideal second round for that for Dallas. Watch. Uh, yeah. I think that that's going to be like one of the only ways that you hold off Patrick Mahomes, which is kind of what they've had issues doing. Right? Is you get DBs. You get DBs. Now I kind of had a couple guys in front of Harrison. Um, but yeah, he has what 2 full years. Well, not 2 full years, but 2 years of starting. Two years of starting experience. Missed a good chunk with an injury though last year. So hopefully that's. I mean, it does. It's not going to affect his movement. But yeah, man, he moves. He moves with instinct. He's quick. Um, I think that he is going to be one of those guys that's like a field general on the defense because you can see him get really animated when talking to his teammates on defense pre-snap. You know, he talks with his hands and things like that. So he could be one of those guys that's like a field general, which is great. Presses really well. So the Chiefs, a team that have struggled with wide receivers last year, um, he can kind of bully those guys.
What is important to you?
He can kind of bully those guys, which is going to be great. He's going to be a good press guy for Buffalo. Yeah, I like his physicality. I like his physicality. Um, one of the things that he was good at was tackling. Will the shoulder injury that he sustained cause him to be a less willing tackler? That's going to be one question that I have. Okay. Oh wow, Philly moved up one spot. um, if the Eagles and the Chiefs wanted the same player, who would that player have been? Um, I don't see it really being a receiver. Possibly an O lineman. Possibly an O lineman. Because that would be something that the Chiefs need that kind of coincides with something that the Eagles could also use because Mekhi Becton, another Virginia native, is no longer there. So maybe that. But the Eagles got Tyler Steen that can kind of take that over, and then they got guys like Landon Dickerson and stuff like that. Um, yeah, Tyler Steen was a guy who was taken kind of
What is important to you?
early in 2022 or 2023 or something like that from Alabama. I liked him actually. So maybe it'll be a guard. Maybe it'll be a guard. I don't know. Um, that's the only thing that I can really think of that kind of coincides with the Chiefs' needs. Uh, that would make that one spot trade kind of worth it. Hmm. Who would Philly take, man? That's a good question. Let me see here. Let me pull up their depth chart. So I don't kind of got to go off the top of the dome or something. I predicted them to take Josh Connolly, who isn't there anymore. Play him inside at guard. So, let's see who is there. Let's see who's still there. Josh Emmons is still there. Still a dog. Will Johnson is still there, but Philly doesn't need DBs right now. Unless they're gonna reach for a lineman. I'm not quite sure. Okay, so let's see here. Yeah, man, I don't know. I don't know. Let's see. Is that that pick is in? Because this is piquing my interest here. Let me see who Philly is gonna take. One thing about Philly, they draft very well. So I think that whoever they take is going to be a capable player. They, for the last few years, have been able to really lock in on every aspect of team building, drafting, developing, free agency, and signing their own. So can't really do but so much. You got to give them the benefit of the doubt, right? Uh, hmm. All right, we got guys on the stage now. Great. Okay, Jahai Campbell. Yeah, I like it. I like it. As far as pure linebackers go, he's my favorite. I don't consider Jalen Walker a linebacker. I consider him an edge rusher. Yeah, I really like it. I really like it.
What is important to you?
Yeah, I really like it. They lost Zach Bond because he was a dog. So I think replacing him with a very very capable linebacker. I think that Jahai Campbell is a really good pick for the Eagles. Give me a second. Let me get my notes up on him. All right, so I think that he's going to be like your classic Mike linebacker. Um, Great height advantage over other guys in that area. Which is going to allow him to be like that field general type of player. You know what I'm saying? He can stand the whole field. And then his arm length allows him to get those knockdown passes, break up passes, and things like that in tackles. I think he blitzes extremely well, which when you combine that with his long arms, he's going to be able to punch the ball out quickly. Um, I think that when he plays off the ball, he plays with great instincts, has great anticipation. Um, but at the same time, when it comes to being that off-ball linebacker, he doesn't really have too much experience. He's like a year and change, really being there. Um, he's not going to be like one of the bulkier guys, even though he has great height. But he fills out his frame very well, and he might be able to grow into it a little bit more. But that's just kind of genetics, right? I just at the next level, I want him to be able to play with more aggression. Because I mean that's really going to fit that Philly style of defense. Very aggressive, very violent player. Um, but also, given what is going to be needed from him, I think that will allow him to play with a little bit more power. So yeah, work on that aggression, work on that balance, work on that anticipation, and I think that he'll be a great player. Yeah, I like it, man. I like it. When they make him blitz, when they make him have to, do the work, do the messy work, he does well. I think he led his team in tackles for lost yardage last year. I'm not quite sure, like 15 or something like that. I don't know. Um, did very good though. Did very good. When Bama gave him more responsibility, he answered that call. Nothing at all wrong with that pick. Yeah. Um, Philly got a good pick, man. Philly got a good pick. Philly got a good pick. All right, last pick. Yo, this is my longest stream. Crazy. Almost 4 hours. That's why I appreciate whoever dropped by. Um, the Chiefs should be picking an offensive lineman here or receiver. Let's see. Josh Simmons, my favorite tackle in this class. I love it. He just got to get a clear bill of health. He has to get a clear bill of health. But if that is the case, yeah, Kansas City got a dog. Kansas City got a dog, and they went and got what, an extra seventh round pick to move back one space. Sit on their hands for 2 minutes. Man, what? Josh Simmons at 32 is amazing value. I love it. I love it. In my opinion, this was the best tackle in the class. Um, he 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 has the hips. Pause. His hips are fluid. Very flexible guy. He knows how to control leverage. His foot speed is excellent. And he's a very hardworking player. Not one of those guys who you got to question whether he loves football or not. That has been like a thing in this draft, and it's probably going to be a thing in drafts moving forward. You have to question if this guy loves football. Josh Simmons loves football. But the issue is he tore that ACL last year. Now, granted, it was kind of midway through the season. It was after like 4 or 5 games, but prior to that injury, man, he was looking like a player that's going to come in and be an all-pro in his first year. Let me get that out the way now. Yeah, man, Josh Simmons is a dog, man. He has great hand placement, great hand speed. He's a dog, man. Josh Simmons is a dog, and I think that the Chiefs got away with one by being able to get him at 32. They'll pick up that extra 7th rounder. What they do with it, we'll see, right? But you were gonna pick him anyway. Yeah, that's it. Round one. Now that all of these teams have gotten their stuff out of the way, right? Close that window. My eyes are hurting looking at it. Round one was very eventful. That large low with no trades surprised me. But once you went back to, what was it, 25 was that very next trade, it kind of like opened the floodgates. Surprised that Shedeur Sanders sat and Jackson Dart went in day one. But also not surprised that only 2 quarterbacks went day one. Given the thought behind this quarterback class that it is lesser than years past, not surprised by that. A few teams surprised me with their picks. Seeing Gray Zabel go as early as he did, really surprising. Even though he is very versatile, reminds me of that North Dakota State lineman from like 2 years ago, Cody Mauch. Definitely reminds me of him with his versatility. And also Donovan Jackson going this early. Donovan Jackson was like a middle of round 2 guy for me. Somebody that I pick at like 50 or something. But yeah. Those were like some of the most surprising picks. But O-line picks, it's like once they're gone, they're gone. And the game is the game with that. You're now seeing guys whose issues are causing them to fall. Will Johnson probably could have been a top 10 pick if he wasn't hurt. Luther Burden could have been off the board right now if he didn't have this off of the field stuff. Yeah, man. There are plenty of guys that are left that really have the talent, but it's like an asterisk by their name, And I think that when you get into day 2, that's where teams are going to be really trying to get those things. And I'm not just saying that because the Cowboys seem to do that every year, right? Let's see what else. I've been at this for 4 hours now, so I'm about to wrap up. Mike Green, surprised that he's still there, but like I said, man, asterisk. He hasn't played against like a lot of top tier talent in his years at Marshall. Let's see. You also got like a lot of just good players left. Like Nick Scorton is still there. Great edge rusher. I think that tomorrow you're gonna see like those linebackers. It might be like a rush on like a run on like linebackers. I can see that happen. The run on running backs could definitely happen tomorrow. But I'm also glad that it was only 2 that were taken in day 1 because my team happens to need a running back. So yeah. Oh boy. So we did it, right? Day 1 is in the bag. I need to go get more water because my water has been empty for hours now. I might stream day 2, but I got a real life thing type thing going on. So I might stream some of day 2. Who knows? But in the meantime, if you've been in and out of this video for this 3 hours and 54 minutes now, click that like button. Click that subscribe button and the notification bell so you know when I go live or put up a video for dope, long freaking talent, long form content. There we go, just like this. Give me a follow on Twitter at Franklin Football. This is down there in the description. But until then, it's been Franklin Football. Peace.